Good morning, students. Welcome to a new class of software engineering in which we will discuss about the revision of different topics of same unit 2. In unit 2, we have discussed about project planning. In project planning, several topics we have completed, and whatever topics we have completed, I think the individual videos you have watched. If you have not watched, then go through all the videos sequentially, and which topics you have to cover sequentially, you can go through the revision videos. So this is the second revision video of our unit 2 topics. In unit 2, we have discussed about project planning, and for project planning, whatever activities we have to conduct, already we have discussed. In project planning, a report we are preparing, a plan document we are preparing, and in the plan document, what informations are needed, those we have also discussed. In project planning documents, you are mentioning the estimations, those we have made regarding the size estimation, cost estimation, time requirement, and effort requirement. After all these estimations are performed, your next requirement is to prepare the project scheduling. And in project scheduling, what activities we have? And today, in our second revision video, we'll discuss about rest of the topics, that is project scheduling, project staffing, how to do risk management, how to do configuration management. And in project scheduling, which activities we have to perform, let us view again regarding it. In project scheduling, we have different major activities to perform a set of activities to be executed all at once. Then we are dividing the whole project into number of submodules, and each and every submodules are again divided into sub-submodules, and according to the submodule informations, the development activity will start. So the first project is broken down into number of smaller activities. Then all those smaller activities will be identified for their dependencies among one another, how they are related between one another, in what manner they are combinedly providing the benefit to the system. Then to conduct the activities of each and every submodule, whichever estimations are required to be made, like your time duration estimates to be identified. Accordingly, the cost required for each and every submodule also can be determined. Then its next subordinate activity is to allocate the resources required for conducting the operations on each and every sub-activity. If the required resources are provided, then its activities can be conducted very well. So after determining the resources, we can go for next activity, that is plan the starting to ending dates, those you have to allocate for performing the operations of the activities. According to that, your time duration requirements can be determined. And next requirement is your determining the critical path. The critical path will provide you the information from the project activity starting to ending, what total time requirement is there, and accordingly which set of activities you have to sequentially operate. Got it? So after executing this set of actions, you can go for dividing the whole system into number of subsystems, that is using the work breakdown structure. We have discussed about a concept, that is for developing a management information system, how we can prepare a WBS or work breakdown structure. According to the main activities of it, we have divided the sub activities in this manner. Then after determining the sub-modules of the system, activity network you can prepare, and by looking at the activity network, we can reach at the critical path. Got it? This is the activity network, and the activity network contains the activities to be conducted one after another or parallelly, and each and every activity requires much of time to provide, and accordingly the resource requirements can be determined by using the Gantt chart. And each and every submodule's actions must be represented using a Gantt chart in this manner, so that each and every activity's time requirement and resource requirements can be determined. How long a particular job is to be executed, that can be determined. The Gantt chart contains the timelines and the period for which the resource requirement is there. Got it? For each and every submodule's activities, you can know what are its time requirements and actions to be carried out one after another. Here you have specification action to be conducted. Then when the specification is over, the design database starts. When the design database starts, it is the longest time and resource requirement. Requirement. Accordingly, after the database design is over, the coding database is performed. When the coding database is over, the integration will start. When the integration and testing will over, your software development process ends here. So these four can be determined as the critical path time requirement. Got it? The summation of all this can determine the total time requirement for executing the whole system. From starting to ending, what are the time requirements can be noted down from this point. Got it? Then you can go for using the POD chart. What is the project evaluation or program evaluation and review technique? The activities of the project are evaluated, then reviewed in order to specify whether the allocated resources or whether the allocated effort or whether the allocated time requirement is exact or not, that can be determined. The POD will perform the review of actions. If the allocated informations are perfect, then it will be carried out. Otherwise, it can be changed or modified according to the new set of requirements. So when the POD starts, then it performs the actions according to the activities specified in the activity network, and it can use the boxes and arrow marks to represent the activities and task dependencies. And you can watch it by looking at this diagram. The part of MIS system can be viewed like this. In here, you have different actions like your specifications. And then when specifications over, it lead to database design part, then code part. Along with that, the GUI designing and GUI coding is performed. Along with that, the user manual writing is performed. So parallelly, three activities are being executed: database designing, GUI designing, and writing user manual. Got it? When these three actions are carried out, at the same time, the database designing is performed and GUI designing is performed. When the database designing is over, it will lead to code the database. When GUI design is over, it will lead to code the GUI. In the meantime, writing user manual is performed, in which each and every actions will be documented and notified in different document files to for the review purpose. Correct? And the review performed after evaluations will provide a most optimistic, pessimistic, and likely values for the resource and time requirements to be required for each and every set of action. If specification work is performed, there you can think about the optimistic value, that is 12, 15 is the likely and 20 is the optimistic value. Similarly, you can go for watching the database design actions, the code database actions, and the part informations regarding that. After the evaluations are over, how your most likely values, pessimistic and optimistic values can be determined. Got it? After if the total requirement time is 45 and it is supposed to complete its job at the time of 40, then the optimistic value is 40. If it is unable to be conducted within 45 days, then it will be requiring a most pessimistic value, that is 60. Accordingly, the each and every task values can be determined. Got it? Then we have the project staffing actions. Whenever a particular project is being developed, there are manpower requirement is obviously there, and what type of project is developed, accordingly the type of developers are being engaged, accordingly the type of operators are being used, accordingly the concept known people are being arranged in the development purpose. And in project staffing, the staff according to the respective activities are allocated so that the project development will be perfect and up to the mark. If a particular software concept is to be developed, accordingly the experts or experienced personnel will be engaged for that purpose. That will be more useful for the product's perfect utilization. Got it? And for successful development of the product, proper team member selection is very important. Got it? For that, the project staffing is important. And when the project staffing is prepared, the skills present in the software developers or software engineers are identified. According to the skills of them, they will be allocated different responsibilities. In which ground they are expert, in which ground they are perfect to do their work, accordingly they will be provided the responsibilities and assignments to be performed. Got it? For that, these qualities should be present in the software engineers so that they can be assigned in the project to do their work. Got it? Already all these points we have discussed. If they are knowing all these skills only, they can be perfectly do their assignments. Got it? Then risk management. Risk is a very common factor supposed to get at the time of any development process. Anything being developed is supposed to face many problems or risk. Any unfavorable event supposed to occur at the time of development of a particular project, you can consider it as a risk. And if risk comes, then it may lead to unsuccessful delivery of the product or incomplete development of the system, or some unnatural situations to occur at the time of the project development process carried out. So if there are supposed to face some risk, then those should be priorly identified. So the risk identification is done and the risk management plan is prepared at the beginning from the project development process starts. So one of the major requirements of the project planning activity is your preparing the risk management plan. So before the work starts, what may be the supposing problems to arise are identified, then noted down in the risk management plan. And if suppose this type of problem arised, how to handle it perfectly. If all it is sudden at the time of project development also, some type of risk are coming, then priorly those solutions are identified. And if that type problem will not occur at the time of the activity going on, then it's okay, that can be avoided. If the project development is suffered with some risk, then those must be identified and find out its solution thereon. Otherwise, it lead to some unnatural situations to arise. But if risk management will perform, then it will reduce the impact of different kinds of risk. Those are supposed to affect the system development process. Got it? So if these facilities are present, the risk management should be utilized at the time of project development. And at the time of risk management activity plan preparation, certain activities we are performing like risk identification, risk assessment, and risk containment. Risk identification deals with the identification or verification or anticipating the supposing risk. Those are to become or arrived. The type of risk those can suffer be like your budgetary failure, schedule failure, personal requirements, it means manpower requirements, resource requirements, and customer related problems. Those also can have the design implementations, design requirements to be used, implementation purposes to be solved, interfacing actions to be performed, testing and maintenance actions also may lead to certain technical risk to arise. The risk may be can also coming under like a product is already developed or a product development process is undergone, and after the product is being prepared, it is unable to be used by the users, and a project is already developed and the project is not being beneficial for any of the users. So at that time the project is going to suffer a large risk. So whether those type of risks are supposed to come or not, those can be priorly identified in the risk management plan preparation. Got it? After the risks are identified, the risks are being assessed. What type of cause, what type of damage he is going to provide, that is assessed. And according to that, the risks are being prioritized and the risk informations are maintained. What type of risk they are going to occur, accordingly they how much harmful they are, accordingly they are noted down some points. If it is going to harm a lot, then that is the higher priority. If it is providing little less harm, then it is the next priority. In this way it can be lead to a least priority if it is providing less harm to the product. But it according to the priority of the risk, that will be executed first or contained first, and the risk is being removed. The risk either by avoiding the risk or transferring the risk or using the risk reduction processes. Got it? And when the risk is being executed, the risk execution can be identified by doing the risk leverage calculation. If a particular risk is identified, then the risk exposure before reduction minus risk exposure after reduction is calculated, and that is divided by the cost of reduction. For reducing the particular risk, what much of cost you have to bear. Accordingly, the risk leverage is calculated. If the risk leverage value is is something okay type, then that can be contained by applying the containment processes. Got it? If the risk leverage is higher than the cost of software product or the cost of reduction, then we will not use that. It is going to be a highly imposed, it is going to face a large problem for implementing the risk solution techniques, then we will not use it. According to the risk leverage value, we can apply the risk solution measures. If it is not going to provide much risk, then also it is not requiring any solution measures to be applied. We can just avoid it and go for executing the other set of actions. Got it? So according to these benefits, according to the risk leverage value, we can go for thinking about whether the risk reduction can be done or not. Got it? Then another point, that is software configuration. What is the software configuration? We have already clearly discussed in 2 videos of software configuration management, because it is a very important topic to be known and to be implemented for the product development process. If the configuration requirement is priorly identified and proper configuration specification is done, then your product development process will be perfectly carried out. Got it? So in order to prepare the configuration plan, we had to determine the type of places where you need to apply the configuration management. What type of configuration you have to choose for executing certain set of actions. When your project development process undergoes, you are requiring certain activities to be carried out, like your source code preparation, design document preparation, SRS document preparation, test document preparation, user manual writing, like this. So for performing all set of activities, which type of technical requirement, manpower requirement, and what type of arrangements need to be done for it, all are identified through the configuration management. If we'll do configuration management, then all these actions will be perfectly carried out. If the configuration management is not properly set, then in many cases you are going to face many risks. So in order to avoid risk also, you can prepare a good configuration management plan and make your work done. Got it? If your project development process need to be executed flawlessly without any break, then you have to do proper configuration management plan. Then by looking at that, you can start your actions. So if you'll do configuration management, then you can properly track the system development activities and control their actions. Got it? Then why for the configuration management is required also we have discussed. For handling the inconsistency problems, if any occurs at the time of a software development process carried out, then you can easily go use the configuration management plan. Accordingly, your consistency problems can be rectified. If your concurrent access is being performed, then during the concurrent access, there are supposed to face many problems. Same time, number of experts or number of developers are making changes to any particular system or particular source code, then you are supposed to get the concurrent access problems. So that type of problems can be removed if you prepare a good configuration management plan. To provide a stable development environment also, the proper configuration management plan is required. And to prepare the accounting of actions and maintenance of status information for the system development activities, also the configuration plan is highly important. Got it? And for handling the variants or error occurrences, also your configuration plan is highly important to be used. Got it? So these are the requirements why we need a configuration management plan to use. For performing the configuration management plan to prepare, then we need certain activities to be executed. The activities to be executed are configuration identification and configuration control. Why for we need to do the configuration? We have already discussed. Accordingly, the configuration identification can be done. So what sort of action we are going to carry out? Accordingly, the configuration will be required. Got it? When the configuration identification is prepared, we have to determine from which category the software product it is, the software process requirement it is. Accordingly, it will be assigned the configuration management plan to use. and the configuration control can be also applied. So if a particular system module's action is a controlled one or pre-controlled one, then we can set the configuration control measures on that. Got it? If the action is not under controlled or pre-controlled actions, then that cannot be implemented the configuration control plan. Got it? Configuration control can be applied only on the controllable objects. If the controllable object is either controlled or pre-controlled, then can be coming under the configuration control activities. Otherwise not. So what are those controllable objects? We have already discussed about the controllable objects, like preparing the requirement specification document, preparing design documents, identifying the tools like implementation of your compilers, linkers, lexical analyzers, parsers, everything. We can perform the configuration control activities on that. The source code requirement for each and every module and submodule to develop. Also, we can control the configuration control features. We can also prepare the test cases to be designed, and we can control them, how to use the test cases properly and get the proper results of it. Got it? Then problem report preparation is also an controllable object. At the time of preparing different reports, we can follow the controlling measures, and accordingly the reports will be perfectly prepared and implemented. Got it? And when the configuration preparation plan is prepared, configuration engine plan is prepared, then it need identification of the controllable objects. If the controllable objects are too much controlled or too little controlled, then also it is going to provide certain drawbacks. So you have to carefully control the actions of the objects. Got it? And for that also the configuration management helps. What much we have to control something, some object. Got it? Then the configuration control actions. The configuration control actions provides restrictions on the configuration control to be applied. The configuration control provides many benefits on the controllable objects, but too much controlling, too little controlling may provide certain drawbacks, or controlling by anybody else may also cause certain other problems. So to prohibit all those, you can go for using a proper short set of configuration control tools, so that those can be helpful for proper controlling to be performed. And if you'll do configuration control also, it will prevent unauthorized change on the controllable objects. Got it? And when the configuration control is done, then certain activities are performed. What are those? Already we have discussed. And for performing the actions of the configuration control work, you can use certain configuration control tools. One of the examples we have already discussed, where we require configuration control to use. Suppose a particular module of a system is being modified by a particular set of people, then we can take a new baseline from the original baseline as a copy of the required module, and then we can make change on that. Suppose the original system is present in a baseline, and that baseline is to be modified by a particular set of people. He may be a authorized one or may not be authorized one. There is a authorized person who allows the change to make. Before the changes are verified and allowed, it is being modified by somebody. To modify it, a private copy of the module is provided to the modifier, or the source code require, who requires the code to change. a new baseline of the original baseline will be prepared and can be modified by the modifier. Then after being modified, that will be updated into the original baseline again. Before being updated in the original baseline, the configuration control manager checks whether the changes are allowed or not, then it is applied on the original baseline. When it is updated in the original baseline, then the reservation is cancelled regarding the private copy. Got it? So in this way, you require the configuration control to use, and this is one example where your reserve restore actions on the private copies of a particular module can be occurred in order to allow the changes to be applied. The configuration control board is there, and that board will check the changes to be made on a particular module and whether the changes need to be updated or not. Got it? The change control board consists of either the project manager or the senior member of the project development team who has the knowledge regarding which type of controls can be applied, whether the control will be beneficial or not. But after being approved by the project manager, the change control board, it will be updated into the original module. Got it? So if any unrequired actions, if any unrequired modifications or some mis-executions are occurred, then that can be also restricted. And the changes those are to be made can be perfectly applied on the original system. Got it? And the configuration control tools supports the configuration control action to be carried out very well. Got it? If configuration control is performed, the drawbacks of configuration requirement, the needs of configuration requirements we have discussed, those can be solved very well. Overwriting can be eliminated. Stable development environment can be provided to the system. Unauthorized changes can be restricted. Okay, these benefits we can get. Got it? Unintentional changes also can be restricted. You can go for use of certain configuration control tools like SCCS and RCS that will help to identify the configuration requirements and apply the proper configuration controls. Got it? And have the configuration control board to take necessary action. Got it? These are all about your unit 2 topics. Got it? By applying a proper set of actions, you can prepare a good project plan, and according to the plan, you can do your actions very well. Got it? Thank you.